Hi, it is 2018. I probably shouldn't do this on camera, but do you know what? I don't smoke that much. It's 4:35 p.m. New Year's Day, and Mr. Dedicated is here again. I've been here all day. I haven't got anything else to do. But back to these. That's my second one today, throughout the whole of the day. So I don't smoke a lot, so don't be concerned about it. I'll put it there. Anyway, it's a new year, and really what I wanted to do with this video was just make it brief, obviously, and just outline hopefully what's going to happen with me and this in 2018, today being the first day. To tell you that I was here till about 4:30 this morning would not be a lie. I'll explain quickly why. I've built a jelly roll battery, but I've built a flat jelly roll battery, i.e. the surface area, instead of rolling it up, I've left it flat in between two pieces of timber. I'll try and quickly show you that, just so you know what I'm saying. There it is. Okay, there it is. It's on the data logger at the moment. I'm going to tell you all about that as well. Alright, so there it is. Now, the reason I was here till 4:30 was I charged that up once, and I know I'm going off the point a bit. I just wanted to explain this bit. I charged it up and I put 100 milliamp constant current load on the battery, or the cell, call it what you like, and it ran for about, the first one was about an hour and a half at the 100 milliamps. So I charged it up again, and then I ran it again, and I think on the second one I rushed the charge, so I got 47 minutes, something like that. And I thought, let's save these curves, these data curves, and will it go again? Not at 100 milliamps, but would it run again at 30 milliamps like the other batteries do? But by the time I'd saved the curves, what happened was that it obviously recovered back up to 2 volts within, I don't know, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, something like that. So I thought, okay, let's try it. So I did. Over 4 hours at 30 milliamps constant current load. I couldn't believe the curve. It sort of went, I'll do it this way, it came down, there was a trough, and then it came back up, and it just kept running and running and running. 4.5 hours. So I've done the same again today. You know, I've been watching this for now a couple of hours now. I'll just have a quick look. So we're on the second bit, the 30 milliamp bit now. Oh, the first bit, by the way, was 47 minutes again. Now, it's on an hour and a half again now on that 30 milliamps. And again, the same thing is happening. The voltage is creeping up. As we draw more current from the battery, I don't know whether it's the setup, or I really don't know at this stage, but blimey, you know, if that goes for 4.5 hours again, I don't know what to think. I'm just going to have to analyse the data, and you know, the reason I like to look at this and stick with it and watch it is because when you see that graph, the finished graph that's now condensed, you don't really see the good bits and the bad bits properly. And what I mean by that is, I like to see that flat line first and see how long it stays on that flat line for. I know we can look at the voltage, but if I could re-stretch that graph right out, I'd be happier, because I've always had this idea or philosophy with batteries. You've got a top end, a mid-range and a bottom end, and that's the way I will always look at my batteries. How good was that top end the mid-range and the bottom end. Now, traditionally, I've had loads and loads of batteries that were really, really good on the bottom end. This seems to be that way as well. But obviously, lately, it's not that way. Now, obviously, the future is going to be data logging. I should be data logging just about everything I do, and it's very important because those graphs show you a lot. They show you how good your battery was and where. For the reasons I've just explained, you can see the top end, the mid-range, and then the bottom end. So that's what that's all about. So back to 2018. Yes, guys, my videos are getting shorter. For the people that said, yeah, they're too long, and look, let's not fall out over it. Even I recognise that I've got to listen to people as well. I do understand that, but it's the way it comes across, that I don't like. Healthy suggestions and all that. Now, let's leave that. Put it to one side. My videos are getting shorter. 2 seconds. I'm back. Can I borrow some screws and a screwdriver, please? Yeah, go away. You've ruined my video. So, yeah, I've had a sign. Now, some of you might know that Robert Murray Smith graciously mentioned me in his new funding video, which I'm going to talk about as well in a minute. And he said, Kev, yeah, he's a good solid experimenter, was I think what he said. He said he makes some rather long videos. I could see in his face exactly what he was trying to say to me. That yes, they are rather long. So look, yeah, okay, I've got the message now. I've heard right from the top. Okay, I've had the message from the top. So they are going to get shorter. They will anyway, because it was a natural progression, not to try and show the whole thing and just show the highlights. Like a few people have said, that we're happy with the highlights. As long as no one thinks there's any funny business in between, that's fine. So that's that. Back to RMS for a minute, if I may. I did say a while back in one of my videos that RMS was going to do this new funding thing, to fund what they do, the FWG group. And at the time I did say, look, it's quite important this. We've all taken, well, not all of us, but there's a lot of us we've taken from Robert Murray Smith in the past. And I don't mean that in a funny way, but all these ideas, there's 50 or 100 ideas I wouldn't have thought of without Robert Murray Smith, and all that time and effort that he's also, the same as me, put into what he does and what he's shown us. And do you know what? It wouldn't hurt to give a bit back. That's my gut feeling. And that, not my gut, I mean that from there, I'll be doing it, however I can. I will be contributing to that cause because it's such a good cause, especially for us in the UK. Anyone listening in the UK, especially a tiny British company like that, with what they've got and what I think what they're about to show us, I think it's going to be quite special myself. And I did see that. I did see the remarks on the bottom of the video after that. People talking about, I don't know, what was it? Snake oil or something like that. I don't even know what it means. That's the first time I've ever heard that, So that aside, with the doubters and all the rest of it, he's got his doubters as well. Look, well, a lot more than me. He's got 90,000 subscribers. But anyway, really, really, really worthwhile. If you can manage it, help the guys out. Like I say, a small British company like that, about to do what they're about to do, and I've got a feeling about what they're about to do. To be honest, I've got a feeling. So, if you can, guys, contribute. I'm not asking you to give money away. They're going to be selling a product to you. Buy the product. So that's that. And like I say, I personally will contribute myself. you know, I'm self-funded. I need every penny I can get to buy whatever I got to buy for, you know, to get on with what I have to do. But I'll still contribute. I did the same with recently Wikipedia. They're the same. It's all self-funded. You know, and how many people use Wikipedia? How many people actually contribute? I did, and I will continue to do that. Absolutely, because I use Wikipedia every single day of the week, every day without fail. You know, Google Scholar as well, but certainly Wikipedia. And more often than not, the first thing I'll look at is MSDS, and I'll look at anything. Could be anything. I like to know, obviously, you know, what it is, how it works, how it's made, and all the rest of it. But how dangerous it is, and is it toxic, caustic, you know, anything like that. So I'll leave that there. So back to this, me here, and 2018. I'm gathering that a lot of, especially the newcomers, will think that, yeah, this guy's going down the carbon route. Well, I am. I'm going to continue down the carbon route quite heavily. Let's start at the beginning. What do I want? What would I like to achieve? The same as a lot of other people. I want to produce a battery at the end of the day. That's the goal, isn't it? Produce a battery. Now, anyone can produce a battery. You could produce a battery out of a damp train ticket, I would imagine. But I want to produce the best battery I can from what I can achieve from, let's say, chemicals, you know, electrolytes and carbons that are non-toxic, eco-friendly. An eco battery is what I want. Now, do you know what? You've got your devil's own job there to produce something from the type of carbons that I'm going to be attempting to use, and have attempted to use, and are using. You know, the devil's own job to produce power. I mean, proper power. Energy density. Graphene. You look at the surface area of graphene and carbon nanotubes. I'm never going to be up there, ever. I don't think. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen, do you? You never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to produce. This is the thing. So that's where I want to be. This eco battery. Now I could, you know, I could go down that road. Ultimate power. I could be messing around with lithium, and we all know where I could be with that. But it's not my bag. And if I've just upset a few people by saying that, you know, this is where I am over here, and that's where the rest of them are, the big boys over there with the big power and all the rest of it, you know, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I've always said the same thing. This is what I want to achieve. A nice safe electrolyte, nice, well, the carbons are going to be safe anyway, hopefully. I can't see why not. But my carbons are always going to be inferior to graphene, carbon nanotubes, or anything like that, you know. So, but I will tell you this, I won't stop until I've got some really good power from the type of carbons that I'm going to work with. And that's it really in a nutshell. There's not a lot more to it. You know, the proving ground is always going to be, you've seen me build that big battery, that was it 8.5 inches by 6.5 inches. I think the Boxing Day edition, wasn't it? You know, pretty good power. Not the best you can get from that surface area. I mean, whew, if that was, you know, a lithium style battery or a graphene battery, graphene based battery, well, I don't know what the power would be, but it'd be a lot more than that. Because of the surface area, and it's all to do with the surface area. Everything is to do with that surface area, and other things like, you know, you've got to intercalate with your carbons. with your electrolytes, you've got to intercalate. You've got to be able to store energy, and it's an analogy. I've talked about this before. The car park, you know, you've got an anode and a cathode, and what you ideally want on your anode is a car park for 1,000 cars, and you want the same on the cathode as well, because the ions do that, don't they? You know, and they store themselves in these sites within your carbon, and this is where the chemistry needs to be right with your carbons and your electrolytes, because if you've got ions, you know, trying to fit in an area like that, and they won't fit because they're too big, then you're in trouble. So it's all, everything involves everything else, really. So that's about it, really. I mean, I can't, what else can I say? You know, that's where I am, that's where I want to be, and at the moment, I've got to say, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. In the last few weeks, the results have been quite amazing, really, to what they were a few weeks before. You know, I've shown that you can take regular activated carbon and give it a boost. I add in functional groups, you know, and where did I find out how to add functional groups, or where did I kind of get the idea from initially? Well, a lot of it's homework, as I say, Wikipedia, Google Scholar, Google itself, and then of course you pick up on some things that other people say and what other people do. And it wasn't until I was messing around with coffee grinds that something dawned on me, and I went straight to the computer, and lo and behold, there's lots of research, masses of research on coffee grinds, and it actually tells you what goes on, what happens with adding, with these groups that are added to your carbons. So look it up. And then the thing that put the whole picture together in my head was listening to Robert Murray Smith again. He's not paying me for this, obviously. I don't get £1 for every time I mention it. So I'm trying to think of which video it was now. If you look at his video on, oh, it was the carbon cloth one where he produced a capacitor. If you listen to that properly, you will learn a lot. Now I'm talking about you people that don't know what I'm talking about. The people that do know what I'm talking about, you know, I'm not trying to include you, but for those that don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch that video. Oh, the other thing I'm doing as well, I'm letting the ads play through as well, and I'm clicking on a few of the ads as well now, just to boost it, you know, boost the YouTube bit up for them as well. So maybe you could do that. But yeah, the whole picture came together. You know, it was like I got these jigsaw puzzle pieces floating around in my head, and then all of a sudden, there they were, all together. So, like I said, functional groups. I'm not going to try and explain, because there's too much to explain. You couldn't possibly explain it in this video. But we need to alter properties of a carbon. Now, there are some things, there are some carbons that you can produce, especially like with coffee grinds, and a functionalization happens or occurs naturally there. That's what got me onto this in a big way. I've always known from, you know, I watch some pretty interesting stuff on YouTube, and I've always known about these functional groups. But what I've tried to do is take carbons initially and make them perform on their own merits, i.e. as they are. How good can we get this? But I did identify at some point that there's a problem with that. They're never going to be any better. They've given me all they can give, so I had to move on. And it was a few weeks back where all of this really just all came together, so that's the way forward. And I'm looking at all sorts of ideas of how to functionalise carbons, along with, of course, I've said this in a prior video about microwave activation. The time saving there is just phenomenal if you can get it right, but it takes a long time and a lot of experimentation to actually get it right. So don't expect too much from me too quickly, because it's not going to happen. I just wanted to sort of, you know, I'm going to try and say as much as I can in these videos, and give as much information as I can in these videos, but there's a lot of it I really can't do anything about because there's too much experimentation to be done. So I might come along and say, hey guys, this is a new carbon. I could say, oh, it's X carbon or Y carbon, couldn't I? You know, but how much more can I actually say at that point? Because there's a lot to do with it. Now you could say to me, well, don't bother showing us that. You know, if that's the case, let me know and I won't. If you don't want to see that, then just let me know. But I'm just trying to outline everything. I'm trying to think of as many things as I can think of at the moment, and you know, for 2018. Now obviously you've heard me say it's the same electrolyte all the way through. I've got some more there. It's the same electrolyte, deep eutective solvent. I think you can probably see that it's not really water, you know, that's not aqueous. That it's a deep eutective solvent. It's a choline chloride base. So many people ask me this question and I get fed up of answering it. Maybe I should just put it in the end of the bottom section of the description of the video, you know, what the electrolyte is. To be honest, I can see why Robert Murray Smith says to people, it's in another video, mate. Now, I've got to be honest, I feel like doing that all the time now, because you get asked the same question over and over and over and over again. I've told people about these binders, you know, the style of binder that I'm using for the most part, which was the Robert Murray Smith cigarette butts, you know, cellulose acetate, in acetone with polyethylene glycol, and what was the other ingredient? Well, I call it Cavasil, but anyway, it's that style of binder. And when I say style, I mean, yes, I have moved it around a bit, but as a starting point, if people start with that, it's phenomenal stuff. Absolutely phenomenal as a point to start from. So, and there's lots of other binders that you can try that are slow to use. If you're trying to progress things quickly, that's the binder to use, trust me, because it's acetone based and it dries so quickly. You know, you can't argue with it. You could then, when you feel you've got as far as you'd like to be with your active materials, by using a binder like that, you can always move on. You know, carboxymethyl cellulose wallpaper paste, the one that Robert Murray Smith showed us initially. Battery manufacturers use that stuff. Butadiene rubbers, you know, that's the other one that they use as well with that. The anode and cathode mixes are different. They use the mix on the one and just the one on the other, or something like that. So, you know, binders, you just get asked so many times, and I really do feel like saying it's in another video, mate, you know. But I'll try and answer as many questions as I can. I mean, for instance, yesterday I think I spent about probably up to 2 hours, you know, thanking everyone, asking questions, and, you know, answering questions, I should say, and stuff like that. And you don't mind. I don't mind doing it. I don't mind putting the time into it. But sometimes it might take a while for you to get an answer, because I might be doing an experiment and, you know, trying to fix my kiln and stuff like that, which I've got to do again today, and I'm really not impressed. I was going to do it yesterday, but I didn't get round to doing it. Some good suggestions on that one. One suggestion was, put your new element in and fire the kiln up and oxidise the alloys within the heating element. Sorry, I can't remember whose suggestion that was, but it was one of the suggestions. Now that was new to me. Fire the kiln first, empty, and the other bit to that suggestion was don't overfill your kiln, which I never do really. But let's just see. Hopefully we might have a solution there. So, but anyway, 2018, this is what it's all about. I think I've been talking for too long, but I've tried to outline not my expectations for 2018, because I never expect anything, but what I would like to happen. You know, we're all in the lap of the gods, I think, a little bit. So whoever your God is, you know. I did notice that I've got a new subscriber and there was a bit of politics involved, and I mean politics, you know. I mean no disrespect, mate, but you know, politics and this don't mix, you know. They just don't mix. Maybe you could have sent me a private message on YouTube, you know, to put, you know, a big political statement on my channel when I don't do politics, I do batteries. Oh, that's another one. Capacitors. I don't know if anyone's ever wondered why I don't fiddle around with capacitors, super capacitors. I could, but it's going to divide my time. I don't feel I need to develop super capacitor yet, and until I get that #1 carbon, and when it's going to be #1, it's going to have to be good. When we look at surface areas, I mentioned graphene earlier on. If you look at the surface area of graphene, or the potential surface area of carbon nanotubes, versus the surface area of sugar, which is pretty good sugar, versus the surface area of activated carbon, coconut variety, there's a vast difference between all of them, vast. But anyway, like I've said, you can take that activated carbon to another level with the surface area that you've got, and then take it that way a bit more. So that's it. That's where I am for 2018. I hope that some of you have got to the end, got to this bit, because it's all of what I've said is relatively important. Some of you might feel that I'm just waffling on and just not saying anything, but I'm hoping that I've said, you know, enough. You will get to see and know what's going on a lot more in 2018 when I've just put everything together as a package. Like I said, what I'd like to do is 2 batteries side by side, identical surface area, identical carbons, except one is in its raw format, out of the kiln, powderized, and the other one out of the kiln, powderized, but functionalized as well, or altered in any respect you can think of, especially for the cathode, let's say. So that's what I'd like to show with a lot of carbons. But should I say this now or not? Yeah, I'll say it. You're going to get a shock with some of these carbons in respect of, let's just say I carbonise some potato or some bread or a carrot or some cardboard or just anything, and I made that carbon work, and let's say I got an hour or an hour and a half running that single motor on my small test piece that I test the carbons on. I'm starting to realise that it don't make a lot of difference what the carbon is. Some are better than others, obviously, but generally And it was at that point that the phone coughed and said, "Oh, sorry, I'm full of memory. My memory's full. Full of content." So, that's this thing. It runs for hours and hours and hours, trust me. So anyway, these carbons, I was saying that generally I'm starting to find out that for the type of carbons that I'm making and using, that the reality is they're all on a level, and it doesn't matter which one you pick, they sort of give the same results. Not necessarily on their own, could be a blend with sugar or whatever. I'm heavily into blending with sugar for all of the reasons I've stated, but as a general thing they all seem to be equally as good. Now obviously you'll pick on one that's just absolute rubbish, but I'm talking as a general thing, that's just as the base raw carbon. But of course, as soon as you start to adjust the carbons, shall we say, with that functionalization or whatever you do, like I said before, look at the Robert Murray Smith video and listen to it. I've watched it 4 times now, and each time I've watched it I picked up on something else. The first time I watched it I just listened to the bit I wanted to hear or listen to, excuse me, and the second time round, so on and so on. The bit about what did he say? Oh yeah, soak the carbon fibre weave in potassium manganate. I think it was for an hour, 8 degrees or something like that. And you'll coat or turn the carbon that's on the weave into a potassium manganate, manganese oxide or manganese dioxide. So you've oxidised the surface. Think about lithium batteries, cathode, cobalt oxide, same thing. So I could go on and on and on, and I don't intend to about that. But generally, I wanted to say that the carbons are all very much of a muchness. If you look at, especially carbons where the originality was something to do with a plant, or it grew and it's got this particular structure, they all seem to be on a par. But you can functionalise them to make them better, and then you find out that some are better than others. So and it's a whole world. It just branches off into all different directions, and it goes on and on and on. So it's going to slow up because I've got so many now to trial and test in so many different ways, and naturally it's going to slow down anyway, because it's the first today, tomorrow being the second. I've got to go back to work, to my daytime job, unfortunately, where I do love my job, don't get me wrong. I drive, or should I say operate, an excavator for a living. That's what I do. That's where I get my weekly wage from. I just love that awesome power of an excavator. It's just always, all my life. I think I started when I was about 18, and that day it was a new world to me. The power, the sheer power. And I think that's where I get my love for all things powerful. Cars, engines, just a V8 engine, especially an American V8 engine. Not going to get into the politics of which one's the best or anything like that. But I think you can see what I mean. All things powerful. So let's try and make some of this all powerful. That's the goal. So I think I've said all I can say, really. Can't think of anything else. 2018, it's here. Let's look forward to it. See what we can do. When I say we, I mean you as well, not just me. Let's have some videos from some of you guys. The ones you keep telling me about that you're going to produce in the new year, or attempt to. Like I said before, I wouldn't care if it's 10 times better than what I've done, or a tenth as good as what I've done. I love it all of it. So, good luck in the new year, everyone.